And welcome into the Gary Ayd Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Online at cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app for Apple and Android. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube Live daily 10 to noon. It's great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd, Rich, and Selmo. And as we get settled in for the 2-hour marathon sports talk, let's go right for it. Let's go right to the opening rant. Now, one thing that I wanted to kind of touch on today that I think is important to kind of keep in mind. Last night was probably the first time all season in the NFL where I was all in. Like, I make very small bets. I bet sports more or less just to have something to talk about here the next day. I'm not really a big player, but I enjoy it, right? And particularly football. From a betting standpoint, football is the best sport to bet by a mile. It's not even close. So I bet this game last night with the Titans and the Packers. And you'll remember yesterday, I was like, there's no way this line is right. I said it feels so certain that it feels like a trap. So I had a little bit of trepidation, but I pulled the trigger. I did about 4 times my normal bet on this game, and I just did straight money line. And man, was I right. I mean, this was as lock of a lock as you could get to me. Like, there was no way the Packers were going to win this game. Like, and it didn't play out exactly according to script, but it was pretty close. I mean, the reason those trick plays worked so well is because the Packers have to put 12 guys in the box, so you're only allowed 11 on the field. Stopping Derrick Henry is mission impossible half the time. And so if you're going to have any chance of doing it, it takes a lot of bodies, and consequently, you have trick plays. The one where they had Tannehill throw his arms in the air and then direct snap it to Henry. That was cool. They had another one, I think, with Henry where he threw a pass. Like, they did 2 or 3 trick plays last night. And the thing about it was all predicated. It's funny, when the more fancy an offense, the more likely it is that it's based off of the most rudimentary elements of football offense. And all of the trickery and weirdness of last night's play calling for Tennessee is based off of the fact that ultimately their bread and butter is give the ball to Henry and let him run 4 yards up the gut to the right or to the left of center. And when you can do that with impunity and the other team knows that they have to sell out to stop just that basic play, it opens up the door to the stuff we saw last night. And I'm telling you, there was just no way that the Packers are beating this Titans team last night. I just couldn't see how it was happening. I think Vegas was hoodwinked. Either that or they were throwing the public a bone and saying, hey, you know what? Let's let these suckers win one. Because anyone with a brainstem I can't believe the line didn't move more on this game. It was such an obvious bet. I just couldn't believe it. I had to rush to get my bet in. I was like, oh, wait, that's a mistake. Let me get that in real quick. I know the Packers beat Dallas last week, so maybe that has something to do with Vegas being sort of bullish on them in this game. I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. Didn't fool me. Oh, man, I'm cashing that check. Let's go.
You were on this yesterday.
Let's go.
Anyone with a brain stem, you don't even need the whole brain.
No, just the stem. That's all.
You don't need any of the lobes.
Nope.
Just the stem.
That's right. An interesting factoid from last night's game. Derrick Henry had the highest passer rating in the game.
Yeah, he did. one for one and a touchdown.
That's right. 28 carries, 87 yards, a rushing touchdown. And
132 total yards.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, when that offense, I mean, they're not wild running numbers, but you know something? When they're that effective, this is when Ryan Tannehill can play efficient football.
Yep.
And I think 22 for 27 is pretty efficient. It's 81.5%, and it's his best completion percentage since he's been there. And he had 333 yards. The last time he did that was last season in week 2. 2 touchdown passes. Very efficient game.
Yeah, it was. It was.
And as long as they feed Henry, that helps Tannehill play that efficient kind of football. They have the second best red zone offense this year. Their defense is solid. If anyone's still underrating the Titans, I don't know what more they can do to show you that they're pretty good.
Oh, they're very good. And
they lost a game to the Giants they shouldn't have lost. Their 3 losses, which is why I think if anyone's still sleeping on the Titans, their 3 losses were by very little. And 2 of their 3 losses were, and it reminds me of the Bills. Well, they're 6-3, but their 3 losses were for a combined total of 8 points. You have to look past the record sometimes, and the Titans check off the boxes.
No, they do. And it's funny you mentioned the Giants loss, because that was going to be my next point. Kind of to bring this back to the locals, to the Giants. I think that the Titans are absolutely, almost to a letter, the perfect blueprint for the Giants to aspire to. It's the exact same team. It's the exact same structure. The Titans are just 4 or 5 years ahead of them on the schedule. But the truth is, if there's one running back who approximates Derrick Henry in the NFL, it's Saquon Barkley.
Yes.
And if there's one coach who approximates Mike Vrabel in terms of just doing what his team is capable of doing and playing to his team's strengths, it's Brian Daboll. Daboll probably a little bit more creative offensively, and although last night Vrabel certainly did his thing, but Vrabel, of course, probably more so on the defensive end given his playing career. But ultimately, I think that both teams are so similar. Solid defense, keeps you in games, well coached, doesn't beat themselves too much. They allow their quarterback to play off the play fake because of the great running back, and they're committed to using that running back, even when it doesn't go great. Last night's a perfect example. Henry, 28 carries, only 87 yards. His longest run was 9 yards. They kept with it the whole game because that's how they win. And ultimately, I think the Giants should look at Tennessee and think that's who we need to be. And and I think that that's their path forward right now with this current roster.
It is. It is. Now, let's go to the other side. I don't want to put too much on this, and I'm sorry to take some of your rant here, but
I'm about ranted.
Sunday, Aaron Rodgers had a nice 14-point comeback against Dallas. Hey, he's got that touchback. Oh, just days later, that touch was nowhere to be found. The Packers defense gave him a lot of chances. They really did. That was one of the better defensive games they played. Rasul Douglas picks off Tannehill. Packers go 3 and out. 3rd down, he missed a wide open Sammy Watkins. Titans punted. Packers immediately turned it over on downs. How? Rodgers missed a wide open Allen Lazard on 3rd down, and then he miscommunicated with Lazard on 4th. Desperation mode late. Aaron Jones got stonewalled on a 4th and 1. The Packers are 4-7 for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
And let's just, none of this, late season rally possibility. Let's put this one out with the recycling. They're done.
Taking them out.
They're just straight out done.
Don't talk about the Packers coming back. That's way too cheesy.
That's right.
There we go. I got it in early today.
Yeah, you did. You got to try to catch up somehow.
That's right. All right. Well, we got our pun in, we got our rant in, but we're just getting started here in the Gary Ayd Show. We'll be back after our first break. Coming back, we'll do the question of the day. We got NFL picks, NBA recap, lots to get to today. MLB announced their MVPs. I think we're finally done, mercifully. We'll talk about that and a lot more. Question of the day is next. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Netflix is building the sports news of tomorrow today. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free continuous glucose monitor system. The new CGM systems can automatically manage your diabetes better for you. And by using a CGM system, you can eliminate forever one thing most people with diabetes hate the most: finger sticks. Now it's possible to manage your diabetes better, end the painful finger sticks, and get a new CGM monitoring system at little or no cost to you. We even provide in-home delivery and do all the insurance paperwork for you. Now is the best time to manage your diabetes better and get your continuous glucose monitor. Call now for details. Call 800-438-1391. That's 800-438-1391.
57% of U.S. adults who identified as fans of Formula One said they became fans within the past 5 years. This, according They say hockey is like figure skating in a war zone. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free continuous glucose monitor system. Managing your diabetes is crucial to your health. The new CGM systems can automatically manage your diabetes better for you. And by using a CGM system, you can eliminate forever one thing most people with diabetes hate the most: finger sticks. Now it's possible to manage your diabetes better, end the painful finger sticks, and get a new CGM monitoring system at little or no cost to you. We even provide in-home delivery and do all the insurance paperwork for you. Now is the best time to manage your diabetes better and get your continuous glucose monitor. Call 800-438-1391. That's 800-438-1391.
Oilers forward Evander Kane sustained an injury that is the stuff of nightmares during Edmonton's win over Tampa Bay last week. The Edmonton star was rushed to the hospital after sustaining a deep cut after Lightning winger Pat Maroon accidentally skated over his wrist. As one can imagine, the blood loss was alarming. But thankfully, Kane moved quickly. He controlled the bleed and rushed to the locker room with medical staff and paramedics in tow. Lightning coach John Cooper put it best, saying, "You cringe when you see that. It was tough to watch." Question: which injury would you be most afraid to sustain? A 95-mile-an-hour fastball to the dome? Or a hockey skate to the wrist?
That's a really good question.
It is.
Can I choose C, none of the above, please?
I was going to say D, both.
Yeah, none.
I don't want either of them.
I mean, I guess.
The wrist was gruesome.
Yeah.
And Kane himself said he did act very quickly, immediately covered it and went right to the bench. His poor Pat Maroon, who didn't mean to do it, is like frantically waving trainers on the ice from both teams. And he said, he loves the medical staff in Edmonton, but that Tampa Bay staff went into overdrive when he was in that locker room. And that's one of the worst injuries I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a bad one. I mean, I guess
skate blade to the neck rate's right up there, but that's.
Yeah, I suppose if I was gonna have to pick between the two, I guess I would take the fastball because you do have a helmet on.
Right.
It's
still gonna sting you.
Oh, it's gonna hurt like
hell. You have a helmet on. There's nothing protecting that wrist.
Right.
And that's one of the things the owners want to talk about in the meeting is having equipment that covers that area as well without restricting player movement, which is not going to be easy.
That's what I was just going to say. I mean, for as bad as this is one thing I don't like about these sort of noteworthy injuries. They tend to have an effect of altering rules that don't really need to be altered. And we have an overreaction to protecting people when realistically, in all the years they've been playing hockey, all the years you've been watching hockey, I bet you can count injuries like this on one hand and have fingers left over.
Yes.
So it's really a little bit, I think, over the top.
It is. if someone wants to use a piece of equipment that'll cover your wrists and not affect you, go for it. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't
be
have to be
compulsory.
mandated. Right. Yeah. So neither one for me, but yeah, anything. Oh, anything that hits. Oh, anything that hits and anything that carries blood, I want to particularly avoid.
Nah, it makes total sense to me. Makes total sense to me.
That was an interesting question.
It is an interesting question. It's a tough one.
I've seen fastballs do some damage.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get it twisted. I want no part of either of these.
Right, but I've seen fastballs do more damage to people. Getting hit in the head stuns you.
Yes.
And I get that. Getting hit in the ribs really hurts.
Or
there's a difference, but getting hit in the ribs is not life-threatening.
Right.
And I have been around long enough to remember Tony Canigliaro.
Yeah, that I was just gonna say. I mean, I'm aware of that injury and that the history behind that and stuff.
That was gruesome.
Yeah, and that's the type of thing that happens often enough, balls near the head, that the batting helmets make sense. I still don't really love these like cheek flap things, but the batting helmets themselves I'm all about.
I don't look at the cheek flap things either way. If it provides you from getting hit in the jugular, all right. But it's not mandatory, so.
It's so ugly.
It is. It is. It's unsightly.
I hate it.
Good.
I hate it. And ultimately, you do have to balance safety, appeal, and likelihood of something like this happening when you're making these decisions on equipment modifications, if you're going to make them mandatory, because it's not just a linear player safety. Like there's other factors here. There has to be, because you're running a multifaceted, complex business that has multiple stakeholders. Like, if it was all about player safety, we would just play tag football, right? But that wouldn't work. So you have to balance all pieces. But yeah, so with this injury here, I think personally that you probably shouldn't make anything of this other than a crazy accident. That's my own opinion. And then, kind of just, it sucks it happened, but I don't think every tragedy necessitates a, some type of overhaul or, significant reaction. Sometimes bad things just happen.
Right. I have no problem if they want to make a suggestion. If you would like to do this to prevent something like that, okay.
Right.
But it's a game played on skates. Right. Skates are sharp.
Yes, they are.
Anything can happen. I'm surprised, honestly, that you don't see more of this, considering the speed of the game and the fact that movement is sometimes not as controllable when you're going fast on skates. When they have those times up, I get amazed. Someone was skating in a game, so you only have 200 feet to do this, but they hit over 20 miles an hour a couple times. That's, I know people don't like to drive that fast.
Yeah, we all know that person. Hey, Boomer, get out of the way! That guy? Yeah, I know that guy too.
Yeah. Well, I'm a boomer too, but I'm one that would go 90 if I could.
You're a boom type of boomer.
That's what I love driving through Pennsylvania when the speed limit hits 70. I know I've got a 10-mile cushion, so hey.
Boom. Leadfoot Rich.
I'm there.
There we go. All right. Let's take our next break. We'll come back. MLB MVPs announced. We'll break that down. Also, we'll get some hockey and NBA scores in this next chunk. We have our NFL picks still to get to, top 5 news you can use, a lot of stuff. Back after this, it's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right, we're back. And since we just finished doing hockey right now, as far as the question of the day, seems to make sense that we should do the hockey scores real quick. And then we can put hockey on ice for the day. Hey, I'm up to 2. You better catch up.
Oh, jeez, I've really got a long way to go here. Why are you doing this to me?
I got a little extra coffee. You know, in my cup today, it's the secret potion. It's almost the best coffee out there. Not quite. It's not Noble Jamaican Me Crazy, which is the absolute best.
What is the secret potion? Please let us all know.
This is chock full of nuts, New York blend.
Ooh, now I have never seen that one.
The New York blend, it's that and their Cuban blend are their 2 darkest roasts, even darker than the French.
Oh, I love a good Cuban coffee.
Yep. So I have about a month ago, they had a sale on these at my local grocery store. So I got 4 cans, like regular size cans, for $2.99 each. And I just alternate between the 4 flavors. Today it's New York.
Oh my God.
Yep. 3 dark roasts. I got New York, French, and Cuban, and I threw a Colombian in there as a medium roast for good measure.
Oh, outstanding. Outstanding. You do deliver the goods. I thought I was paying the price for that aluminum foil thing yesterday. I said,
oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, no, it's just one of those days, man. I'm on a roll.
okay, let's hit the hockey real quick. We had quite the schedule last night. Let's start with the local teams. 3 of the 4 teams played. New Jersey won its 11th straight game and first in Toronto since the 05-06 season. The game was pretty dramatic. William Nylander tied the game in the 3rd period for the Leafs. Devils forward Igor Sharangovich scored the game winner after an incredible steal. Incredible steal by Jack Hughes. And anyone who's a fan who's not watching Jack Hughes play hockey, he is the most exciting young player in the league.
I love Jack Hughes. Mostly because his name is Jack Hughes and I can remember that.
Think about this. I like that. Think about this. 11 in a row. The Devils haven't lost since Elon Musk didn't own Twitter.
Jeez.
The Islanders in Music City last night. spotted Nashville a 4-1 lead, got it to within one. It wasn't enough. The Predators won 5-4. Justin Schultz scored 2 goals, including the game winner in overtime, as this young upstart Seattle Kraken team just keeps on doing it. They won 3-2
They keep
against
on
the
keeping
Rangers, and they beat Shesterkin.
There you go.
Boston stayed hot. They won their 10th consecutive home game last night. David Krejci had 2 goals. They won 4-1. Well, it's against the Flyers. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, finish the hockey, but I have a question about Boston and sports in general. So
Okay.
Finish the hockey and then we'll get into that.
All right. The most improbable win of the night, despite being outshot 48-15, Colorado Avalanche stole an overtime win 3-2 against the Carolina Hurricanes. Arturi Lehkonen scored the game winner, and Pavel Francouz had 46 saves.
It's a lot of
Dallas
saves.
beat Florida last night 6-4. The story there is goalie Scott Wedgwood of Dallas was carted off the ice on a stretcher after suffering an apparent back injury. The good news is he's not in the hospital now. They said he would even fly back with the team, but they're going to keep him under observation. And I am glad about that. Seldom see stretchers on the ice, too.
Yeah.
The Columbus Blue Jackets got a much-needed 6-4 win over Montreal. Andrei Vasilevsky made 39 saves. Tampa Bay put Calgary out of their misery last night, 4-1. St. Louis Blues beat the Washington Capitals 5-4 in a shootout. In Winnipeg, Teemu Selanne and Teppo Numminen watched their jerseys go up to the rafters before the game against the Anaheim Ducks. Jets honored the two by enshrining them in the Hall of Fame, and the current Jets did their job with a 3-2 win. Kyle Connor had all 3 goals in that game. Sidney Crosby had 2 goals and 2 assists. Pittsburgh beat Minnesota 6-4. How quickly could you make the Kessel run?
In under 12 parsecs.
Could you do it for 1,000 straight nights?
If I had the Millennium Falcon, absolutely.
Vegas Golden Knights forward Phil Kessel played in his 1,000th consecutive game. Thanks to the team, he arrived for the milestone in style. They gave him a custom jacket, this unbelievable plaque. That Iron Man streak just keeps getting longer and longer, and Vegas won the game 4-1.
There we go.
David Perron had a goal and 2 assists. Detroit beat San Jose 7-4. Despite some good news for the poor Carolina Hurricanes, injuries just keep piling up for them. This team needs a break more than a lot of teams I know. In Columbus, Elvis Merzlikins will miss the next 1 to 2 weeks with an injury, and they've been having goaltending issues all season long. There you go.
There we go. Okay, so
Take it off ice.
My question was, it's interesting when you mentioned Boston and how well they're doing. It seems to me in the last, 20 or so years, there are trends where like all of a sudden one city will be dominant in multiple sports sort of simultaneously. We've seen this with LA, with the Kings, Lakers, and the Dodgers being championship caliber teams all at the same time. We've seen Boston even win multiple championships in the same calendar year in, I think, 3 sports at once. I think it was the Red Sox, maybe the Bruins, and the Patriots.
Yes.
Where the Celtics were also competitive. So my question is there a local advantage with that? Meaning, if one team figures out success, let's just use an example. Let's just say the Dodgers. Let's say the Dodgers figure out some kind of success organizationally, formulatically. They have a formula. do the other local teams get to from the other sports get to basically pick those people's brains at a higher, greater, more intimate level than perhaps the everyone else is trying to emulate success? Because everyone tries to emulate success. We all know that. I'm just wondering if there is something to that cascade of quick local success within multiple sports when one team really figures it out, because it seems to happen often. So I'm wondering if there's some level of cause and effect there.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know that. I think because every situation's different and it takes something completely different to win the Stanley Cup than it does an NBA title, than it does a World Series, than it does a Super Bowl. It's kind of hard to say, well, they did it. Why can't we do the same thing?
I just wonder if maybe the common link is in the type of people you use to build your organizational structure and culture. What's going on here? Here, snap, crackle, pop.
It's my breakfast cereal.
Oh, is it snap, crackle, pop? Is
No,
it
it's not.
It's not Rice Krispies. Okay, that would have been really funny. So, okay, so I got a quick funny story. So, as some may know, many may not. One of the other things I do is I call games for a semi-pro basketball league called the PBA. I'm actually the director of broadcasting there, and I call 1 or 2 games a week. Now, I called a game last week between the Dothan Snipers and the Southwest Florida Blazers, and it was funny. The owner of the Snipers happens to also be the national executive director of the league. Now, her name is Angela, and we talk every once in a while on Facebook Messenger, right? It's been a while, but we talk every once in a while. She's a fan of, she watches a lot of the games. She's been gracious enough to compliment me on my work in the past. And anyway, so we were talking yesterday, and she goes, did you get my comment? And I'm thinking, oh no, what'd I do? It turns out her team wears these yellow, like really B color yellow and B color black uniforms.
Oh, wow.
And I called them Bumblebee style uniforms because that's what they look like. Apparently her players had been telling her days before the game, we need to get out of these uniform colors. You guys looking like Bumblebee. She had to assure them, no one's going to call you Bumblebees but me. And then sure enough, 30 seconds, 20 seconds into the broadcast, that's exactly what I do. And she goes, I'm going to kill Gary. She goes, if I didn't like him so much, I'd kill him. It's like we're talking about this. So now I got to answer to my players. So she got a good laugh out of that.
Oh, that's great.
They did win the game too, if anyone's curious. But
where is that team located?
Florida.
Okay.
I believe. Well, that's where the game was held in Florida, and they were considered the home team. So yeah, it must have been Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. So
to get back to the question,
yeah.
I think more has to do with how teams are run.
Yes.
And
I think that's what people are copying on a local level. I think maybe it's easier to actually implement a copy of success organizational wise in terms of how you run your organization if you see it up close, because there's a good chance it's a fraternity, right? So if I'm the GM of the Bruins, there's a good chance I'm friendly with the GM of the Red Sox, of the Patriots, and of the Celtics. We probably know a lot of the same people. We probably have a lot of the same corporate clients. We're going to know each other. So it's easy to diffuse those tricks if one kind of figures it out when you're like rubbing elbows with them, versus it's like the difference between going to a trade show or a seminar or watching something on a Zoom call. You'll get a little bit more out of the former.
Right. Well, and in basketball and hockey, that's usually prevalent because
they share the same building too.
Right. And so they do know each other very well.
Yes.
There was a situation here in Buffalo because the same person owns the football and hockey team, where I walked into a coffee shop and bumped into both the GMs sitting together.
Right, right. Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of times, I mean, this is the case. It was the case in New York for many, many years. A lot of times the same owner owns the two teams and even employs sometimes the same executive to run both teams. Glenn Sather ran both teams for a little while.
Yes.
So,
and it is the same owner in New York.
Well, it is. No, I mean, but at one point it was even the same executive.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Glenn Sather's a brilliant hockey mind, but I don't know if I want him.
Well, I think he was more on the basketball side, was more running the business part of the basketball operation, not like basketball decisions.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Glenn Sather was an excellent businessman
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that does. I think they do communicate some.
Yep.
But like I said, when two teams share a building or share an owner,
right,
it just makes a lot more sense that they would spend some time together.
Yeah. Yep. I think so. So it's just a random thought I had because I know just in the last 10 or 15 years, not even 20, I've seen this with LA. I've seen it with Boston. I've seen it earlier on with New York when the Yankees and Rangers were both winning. And you also had competitive Knicks teams at that same time. So it's interesting how that, and then, you know, it seems to fall apart.
See, Boston's a great example, too.
Yeah, they're probably the best example. Yep.
The Bruins are always relevant. If not a true contender, they're relevant.
They're like the Steelers of the NHL.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Celtics are like that a lot, although they have their lulls. The Red Sox seldom have one of those lulls.
Yeah, this is about as bad a Red Sox season as we've seen in probably 20 years.
Yeah. And I think that'll change.
Yes.
And the Patriots are consistently like,
yeah,
they're out kicking their coverage all the time.
I mean, even when you look around, the Patriots are a great one, Rich, because even when you look in the pre and post Brady years, they've never been awful. They don't go out there and go 3-14.
Right.
You know what I mean? When they're quote bad, they're 7-9, maybe at the worst 6-10. That's as bad as they get.
And the same thing is true for all of these teams. They don't rebuild.
Right.
They reload.
Right. They reload, they retool, they tweak, they add.
Yep. And you're going to see that with the Red Sox this year.
And I feel like all teams should do that. I don't like the blow everything up and start all the way from zero. Like, I know they've been the surprise of the NBA, so it's hard to say this right now, but like, I just didn't like what the Jazz did in the offseason. I got the Gobert trade. They got a king's ransom for him. That's fine. He's 32 or whatever he is. That trade's fine. But like
the Mitchell one,
Mitchell doesn't make any sense, and he's killing it for Cleveland. There's no reason he wouldn't have done the same thing for Utah. I mean, he's been doing that for Utah. You know, we know what he is. He's one of the elite scorers in the NBA. That's what he is.
How do you explain the Sacramento start this year?
I mean, they do have some talent on their roster.
It seems to be playing at its peak. Yeah. They won again last night.
Yeah, no, they're let's get into that real quick. Let's take a look at last night's NBA schedule while we have about 10 minutes before the top of the hour.
Only 3 games.
That's all it was. So let's break them down.
And they were all late games. Let's take a look at each one, because there's a full night tonight in the NBA, which is good.
Yes, that is good.
Let's take a look and see what we got here. Last night's game. Well, we know the Clippers won. It was good to see Kawhi Leonard back.
Yeah, all 6 points he scored.
He didn't play much. He missed 12 games. That knee's still bothering him. I don't know if it gets to the point where it's ever going to not bother him.
Right.
But as long as they can get something out of him, it's good. They actually had to make a pretty good comeback in that game. It ends 96-91. They outscored Detroit in the third quarter, 26-17, and 28-24 in the fourth. So, yeah, while Kawhi didn't do a lot, he played 24 minutes. He had 6, 5, and 4. It was okay for a first game back. Reggie Jackson had 23. Paul George had 16, 9, and 3 assists. Ivica Zubac had 18 rebounds. Powell gave you 14 off the bench. It was a nice win.
Now, okay, here's something that's getting on my nerves here. So you might recall about a month ago, there was a Spurs young guard named Joshua Primo, who was a lottery pick last year, so second-year player, got released from the team because someone accused him of sexual misconduct, accused, not convicted. They released him right away. At the time, you might remember me railing against releasing a player before anything goes through. And here is why I hold that opinion. The parties have agreed to resolve this matter, according to attorney Tony Busby, who represents the accuser, Dr. Hillary Cawthon. This was told to ESPN in an email. The entire case is over, and we have no further comment. So basically, this guy got released, lost his job over basically what amounts to they're going to pay a fine or something, and this is all over. So why could he have not continued to play for the Spurs, had this happen, pay this fine, settle out of court, and then continue to play for the Spurs? This is no different than what happened to Kobe Bryant almost 20 years ago in Colorado. If you remember, he not only played and wasn't suspended, he played on the same days he appeared in court in different cities and scored 30 while doing it. Now, Kobe's a different animal. I get that. But still,
Right.
like, this is just patently wrong. Are the Spurs going to re-sign him and give him back pay? No. Is his career maybe
Why
over?
should they?
Well, because
Are they going to give her her job back?
Well, did she get fired or did she quit?
The former team
Did
psychologist.
she resign voluntarily?
The Spurs thought it would be best if they parted ways, and
So they should give both of them their jobs back. I mean, but like, he got screwed because nothing's proven. He's still innocent. He was never proven guilty. So he got screwed. The burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accused. And this is garbage. And it was so foreseeable that that's how this was going to go, that this was going to, like, there was no way he was going to go to jail over this. There was no way that we were going to have like a situation of some kind of like sadistic rapist. Like, the idea that was ever a possibility, no one really floated that extreme, but like the punishment, the immediacy of the release before anything was determined, that's where my problem is. It's just the wrong way to do things. It just is wrong because this didn't take long. What did that happen 3 weeks ago? Like, and now it's over.
You know, she reported him to the team a number of times. Her suit was not against him. It was about the team for lack of response when she reported it. That's a little different.
What was proven? Nothing. Prove it. The bottom
There's nothing
line.
you can prove in that. But if you want someone exposing himself to team personnel, if you want that on your franchise, then sign him. I wouldn't.
He wasn't.
You can't prove it unless you have cameras in every single.
So if you
inch
can't,
of every
if you
single
can't
building.
prove it, then it didn't happen. Then he's innocent. It's
I
presumption
disagree
of
with
it's
that.
presumption of innocence.
I disagree with that, though. Perception's reality.
Then rewrite the Constitution because that's the law. I mean, that is the law of the land. That's the way it's supposed to be adjudicated.
Well, there's no law saying you got to keep someone if you don't want to either.
Yeah, but you can't be firing people over things they didn't do because until
You don't know he didn't do it.
Oh, I know he wasn't proven to have done it, so he's presumed innocent. That's the
He
whole
wasn't
thing.
proven to have not done it either.
He doesn't have to be proven to not do it. That's exactly how it works.
I don't think we need to beat this up for 20 minutes
the
because
burden
you're
of-
not going to change my mind.
Well, I don't have
I'm
to
not
change
gonna
your mind.
change
The
yours.
law is the law. It's not my opinion. That is the law. You are innocent until proven guilty. That's not my opinion. That's just the way it is. So
If someone comes to someone and says, this is happening, don't brush it off either.
well, they clearly didn't. They got rid of the guy.
Didn't she had to report it 9 separate times?
Okay.
They brushed it off.
Probably because there was no proof. I
You
mean,
don't even look into it. You don't do anything.
well, who's to say they didn't look into it and didn't see anything right away? I don't know that.
Like I said, unless you have cameras in every room,
Yeah, it's absolutely
you
preposterous.
can't prove it, but it doesn't mean he didn't do it.
Right,
We
but
don't know.
but until it's proven that he did, then
But you're
he's
not going
proven
to prove it.
exactly. So if you can't prove something, you can't fire
Well,
someone
if you
for
don't
something.
mind having that hanging over your franchise, then sign him.
Oh, I there's nothing to hang over his franchise. He didn't do
Yes,
anything.
it is.
He didn't do anything. There's nothing proven. Like,
You don't know he didn't do anything.
I know he wasn't proven to have done it, and that's
you don't
that's
know
the
he
same.
didn't.
That's the same thing. Is no difference. Now, I wouldn't sign, for example, I wouldn't sign if he was of athletic age still. I wouldn't sign Dave Meggett because I know he did stuff. You know, it was proven. I wouldn't sign Aaron Hernandez if he didn't hang himself and he got out of jail. I know he did stuff.
Well, you wouldn't sign him after he hung himself anyway.
Right. Well, you can't. Obviously, he's dead. But like,
You wouldn't be able to.
but I wouldn't go signing guys who were proven. Like, what's his name? The old Yankee guy who got that one big hit. Got into a lot of trouble after in '96. Oh God, Lazari or something like that. Lazari. Larinaga, Jim Larinaga. I wouldn't sign him.
Okay. Well, see,
So when you prove that someone's done something,
when the kid actually said that he did do it and is seeking help for it, that was enough for me.
wasn't enough to prove anything. Because if this was going to
He
be,
admitted it wasn't enough.
well,
he admitted it.
didn't get to trial. It didn't get proven in the court of law. That's the standard. I mean, because admissions can be coerced. Maybe he was trying to save his job. Maybe he's like, I'll get help because he's trying to save his job because he's a young player and he wants to keep his job.
He said that after he was waived.
Yeah, he's trying to get a job, perhaps. I mean,
Well,
like,
see, you don't know.
I don't know.
No intent. None of us do.
But it has to be proven in the court of law for him to be guilty. That's the law. That's
okay.
That's
we
the
have
law of
two
the
more
land.
games from last night. We are at an impasse.
There's no impasse here. That's just the law. And the Spurs.
There's an impasse.
The Spurs.
You'd love
the
to
law.
have him back. I wouldn't sign him.
I don't think he should have ever left because
I do.
You fire him after it's proven, not before. That goes for lawyers. That goes for office staff at a hospital. That goes for everybody.
Or then don't give him team psychologists.
That's fine. Psychologists are a bunch of like yappers.
Let him go out there and just
the hell with the team psychologists. We don't need them. Hell,
let them go out there and just do whatever the hell they want with no recourse. Don't give them any kind of help at all. Well, the Spurs needed that help last night. Sacramento beat them 130 to 112.
Well, Sacramento's killing everybody these days, including the Warriors.
I don't know what's going on there. Well, didn't they? I mean, they put up 153 burger on the Nets.
Well,
so some of the scoring in this game: De'Aaron Fox 28-8, Barnes 16-8, Sabonis 16-8, Monk 26, Trey Lyles off the bench with 14. They're scoring a lot of points.
I mean, the scoring's up around the league this year. I mean, when you see a game that's not in the 110 range or so for the winner, it's a surprise.
Yeah, you're calling it old school.
Yeah, right.
The Nets played a good game last night.
Yeah, Ben Simmons. I meant to get to that. Ben Simmons had his first really good game in a long time. I was happy to see that. 15 points. I think he had like 12 assists, or was it maybe 12 rebounds and 6 assists, something like that.
He did. I mean, he played really, really well. Royce O'Neal got a tip in.
Game winner. Yeah, that was Ron Artest style.
At the buzzer, that was nice. O'Neal had a triple-double. 11 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. I know you hate those triple-doubles, but...
Hey, you know what? Triple-doubles are triple-doubles. But then there's Russell Westbrook-style triple-doubles. I'll throw 30 in there, too.
I mean, Simmons had 15, 13, and 7 assists. Durant had a Durant day. He had 35. But that was nice. I mean, that was a nice win. Lillard had 25 and 11 assists. Simons had 24. That was a good game.
There we go. There's
And
your
it's a shame there were only 3 of them last night because they were all late games. That it's hard to do that.
We got a full slate for tonight, which we'll get to.
Oh yeah, we do.
But we got the top 5 next. Then we'll do our picks. Then we'll do the NBA slate, followed by news you can use. That's what's on tap for hour 2. 4-minute break. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave. Alrighty, hour 2 of the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com, and the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard, Gary Ayd, Rich, and Selmo. Top of the hour. Of course, we have NFL picks today, a full slate of NBA games to get to. We'll also take a look at some of the action in the association that is forthcoming this weekend, and we'll have news you can use. Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt, your MVPs in the AL and the NL, respectively. So congratulations to them. And baseball season is officially over. So there you have it. Finally. All right. With that said, let's get into it. Top of the hour. Top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
There we have it. What do we got today, Rich?
Sticking with the Cy Young theme of yesterday. Outside of Justin Verlander, who we talked about yesterday, only 10 other pitchers have won the Cy Young 3 or more times. I need you to give me 5 of them.
3
Bonus points if you could tell me how many they've won.
3 or more times, okay?
Yes.
Clemens, I think he's won it, was it 7 times?
You are correct, sir.
That's a lot.
That's
insane.
It is.
That's a lot of Cy Youngs. Just saying that out loud is nuts. 7 Cy Youngs.
That's one, and that's the top one.
I mean, to put it in perspective, Jacob deGrom just completed his 7th season, and he's 35 years old. This guy won 7 Cy Youngs.
And DeGrom pitched 73 innings this year.
Yeah, right. Right. That's insane.
7 is nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. But he's not a Hall of Famer.
And no spot in the Hall of Fame for this guy?
Nope. Another guy that was convicted without being proven guilty. The theme here today. Let's see. Who else we got? I'm going to say Greg Maddux.
You are correct. How many?
Either 4 or 5. I'm going to say 5.
4.
It is 4. Okay, I knew it was one of the 2.
You're piling up the bonus points today.
Randy Johnson, I think, has exactly 3.
Randy Johnson has 5.
He has 5. Wow.
He has 5. He is second all-time in number of Cy Youngs.
Think about that for a second. So those guys' careers, those 3, Johnson, Clemens, and Maddux, more or less completely overlapped.
Yeah.
To think about that, they all 3 played about 20 years. I think Clemens played like 23, Johnson maybe 21, Greg 20, but like their careers basically overlap. So basically, let's just round it to a 20-year period. Those 3 guys, just them alone, won 15 Cy Youngs.
16.
Okay, yeah, because Maddux.
16.
Right. Insane.
Throw in Verlander with 3.
Yeah. Well,
that's 19 Cy Youngs in probably a 25-year period.
Yeah, Verlander's about 10 years younger than those guys, but yeah.
Right, but they did overlap some.
A little bit, yeah. The beginning of Verlander's career, yeah. So those 3 guys, that's insane. That's a lot of Cy Youngs because you got 5 with Johnson, 7 with Clemens, and
4 with Maddux.
So yeah,
that's
16.
amazing.
That's insane.
We have one more person who won 4, and then everyone else had 3.
Cy Youngs.
A few of them are, 4 of them are quite old school.
Yeah, no, I was starting to think old school. What about Warren Spahn?
Not on the list.
Okay.
Surprising, but yeah, he has not won it at least 3 times.
Because he pitched for a really long time. What about Steve Carlton?
Steve Carlton is the other one who's won it 4 times.
Okay. Yep.
Everyone else now has won it 3, but you got
all
the 4 that have won it more than 3.
Okay. All right. So Steve Carlton. Bob Gibson? I don't think he won that many Cy Youngs.
No, he did not. I think he won 2.
Same with Sandy Koufax. He didn't pitch long enough.
Sandy Koufax won 3.
He did. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. You know who pitched a long time? Did Tom Glavine win 3?
No, he did not, and that was surprising.
Yeah. 'Cause he pitched a long time. What about Whitey Ford?
Not on the list.
Okay.
I don't know if how many Whitey won,
He
if
might-
he won them.
He might have only won one, yeah. Let's see. What about Palmer? Jim Palmer.
Jim Palmer won 3.
Yeah, because he pitched forever. Phil Necro?
No, not in there.
Not in there. Okay.
Well, you have guessed so far 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
I have 6 of them. I'm gonna give a couple more guesses here.
Yeah, and then you can rank them.
Well, we know Verlander is obviously one of them because we said that.
But there's 10 aside from
There's
him.
10 additional to him, right?
I'm going to give you a little hint. 2 have played for the Mets.
Oh, Tom Seaver has to be one of them.
Yes.
Pedro Martinez has to be the other.
Pedro Martinez. Yes.
Okay.
There's another one who has briefly played for the Nets.
Really?
Yeah.
Briefly for the Mets.
I'll give it to you. He's still there.
Jacob deGrom.
No.
Really?
Really?
He's still on the Mets right now. Or he's still in baseball.
Still in baseball. Who
Oh.
was the Mets' best pitcher last year?
Max Scherzer.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
And there is one more current player who's winding it down.
Oh, Kershaw, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all of them. Rank them.
Oh man.
Give me your top 5 out of all.
Randy Johnson's the best pitcher I've ever seen.
Well,
because
I saw that.
he is
coming.
just
I
he was
know that.
scary. I mean, like my God, he was terrifying.
He was fun to watch,
oh.
and I had the opportunity to see him in person.
I
and
was
am
so happy.
so glad.
There's never been a time I've been so happy to be a spectator and not a participant. Like, it's so cool being a spectator. It would be terrifying to be the participant right here. Like, no. Everything about that guy is scary. Clemens has to be number 2, just purely on his. I mean, 7 Cy Youngs is an insane, crazy number.
Yeah.
I mean, that means you're basically the best or second best pitcher in baseball like every year.
Yeah.
You know,
And like you said, considering the 3 of them whose careers overlap, there's 16 between them.
right.
That's
Yep. In the interest of not being a prisoner of my own era, I'm going to break this up a little bit. I could easily put Maddox at 3, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and throw Sandy Koufax in here at number 3. From everything I've heard from people who were alive to watch him and from everything I've watched myself on old videos, this guy was completely and totally unhittable, and just absolutely dominant. So I'm going to go there. I usually do prefer longevity, but I'm going to throw him in there at 3.
almost everyone else on this list, though, has longevity.
Right, exactly. That's what makes him kind of different. I'm going to put Verlander there at 4. Justin Verlander is a great, great pitcher. He's the best pitcher I've seen in baseball since the Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens generation. I mean, this guy's an absolute monster, and he's got both things: dominance, statistics, and longevity. Still going strong, approaching 40. The guy's a beast. Plus, he's married to Kate Upton. That gives him bonus points.
Yeah, that's not a.
That's an extra credit for him.
That's a nice win to come home to.
I think so. And then I'm gonna go ahead and say Greg Maddux at 5.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to keep him in that list. Honorable mention goes to Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw, is kind of the new guys. But it's
Steve Carlton was a dominating pitcher in his time.
Yeah, Steve Carlton. I always forget about him. But yeah, he's a good one. It's hard to leave him off. It really is. But
he had a 27-win year on a terrible team.
Yeah,
that says a lot.
I'm almost tempted to bump Verlander off and put Carlton in.
It's hard. I figured it would be easy for you to get most of them,
Yep. Ranking them's tough.
but ranking them I thought was going to be very difficult.
Well, it is because, like, okay, so I guess the one I'm struggling with is Carlton. Leaving him off is tough and here's the argument for Carlton versus Verlander and vice versa. So we'll start with Verlander. I personally do believe it's harder to pitch now than it was in Carlton's day, only because the batters are pretty much just trying to, they know that they're not going to keep the starter in beyond a certain point. So they're trying to get you out of the game. So they're a lot more selective in terms of, and they don't care about striking out. So they'll just take a bunch of pitches, whether they take pitches and strike out or take pitches and elongate at bats or take pitches and get a walk. So you have to be more economical because you don't have the long leash. And if they're still major league hitters, you can't be grooving pitches, you'll get killed. So I think it's a lot more difficult to achieve any type of statistical notoriety in this environment. So that's the argument for Verlander. The argument for Carlton, you mentioned his best case, which is that year where he won 27 games. I think the team won like less than 70. So he won almost half their games. Like it was insane. I think they won like 67 or 68 games. I'd have to look that up. That was like the Phillies in like the early 70s, right? Like 72, 73, somewhere around there.
And you don't see that often.
No, that's insane. And then of course his longevity until Randy Johnson came along, he had the most strikeouts ever by a left-hander. This guy pitched for a long time.
That was the subject of a rewind too.
Yeah, it was. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and stick with my initial thing. As much as it pains me to leave Carlton off, I'm going to stick with Verlander.
Yeah, the one that was hard for me was Jim Palmer.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
He was one of 4 great pitchers on that staff: McNally, Cuellar, Dobson.
Yep.
I mean, and there was a year the 4 of them all won 20 games.
And you see, that's why that's why that was an easier one for me to leave off, because there's a certain amount of pressure that comes with being the guy and then a preposterous drop off after you, which is more standard. I mean, that scenario you just mentioned was only for a couple of years and really has only happened at one time. But it's when I think of the name Jim Palmer, that's the first thing that comes into my mind is part of the only staff that had 4 20-game winners in forever. So
he was also the only multiple Cy Young winner on that list.
Yeah,
too.
he was the best of the bunch. There's no question.
Yeah, that's they're all tough. They're all so good.
How many Cy Youngs did Kurt Schilling win? Did he win 2, I guess? He
2.
must have won 2, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because he was maybe the 5th best pitcher of that generation. And I would say the guy that I would want in a playoff game.
Someone else who needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
God,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous that he's not.
He's the best. He's the best postseason pitcher I've ever seen in my life. Madison Bumgarner is a close second. Those 2 stand out.
And it's so funny to have him on that list, too.
I know, it's weird.
But yeah, he is.
He is. El Duque Hernandez is another one who had a lot of big starts in the playoffs.
Gibson was a great postseason pitcher.
Well, Gibson was a great pitcher, period. So, like, he just kind of kept doing what he did in the regular season in the playoffs.
True.
Madison Bumgarner is like, you look at his numbers and it's like, they're okay.
He's an outlier.
He's an outlier. And so
Schilling's not an outlier.
No, Schilling's a great
He was
pitcher.
great all the time, too.
Yeah, but he was even better in the playoffs. Like, he stepped his game up in the playoffs, but he was great in the regular season, too. Yeah, Schilling was awesome. He had probably the heaviest split finger I've ever seen in my life. That ball looked like it weighed 20 pounds. His split finger fastball. Like, there was no way to get lift on that pitch.
Oh, I know. There are a number of reasons that I haven't been back to Cooperstown. And the egregious omission of some people is one of the main reasons why I haven't been back. And Schilling's on that list. Bonds, Clemens.
Just those 4 to me. Just Bonds, Clemens, Schilling, and Rose. If you just put those 4 in, because the thing is with like...
I didn't even see Sosa.
Well, I was just going to say that. I can understand an argument against McGuire and Sosa, more so McGuire, in that
Yeah,
he really was a one-dimensional player.
right.
And he didn't play incredibly long. He played a long time,
Right.
but not like an insane long time. And Sosa seemed to just like the one thing that McGuire, I think, had over Sosa is McGuire was always a beast. Like McGuire,
Yeah,
steroids or not, was going to hit 500 home runs. I mean, he came out of the gates right from the beginning as a power hitter. Sosa
did.
all of a sudden became a power hitter, and then boom, wasn't anymore.
yeah,
Like,
that's true.
There was a big like boom, what happened with Sosa for 3 years type of effect in his career. Whereas McGuire, I felt his was more natural ability, but I thought that Sosa was a better overall player because of his
Yes.
fielding ability.
Yes.
If I was going to put one of them in, I'd probably put McGuire in.
See, but that's the thing with McGuire. Before the steroid thing ever came up, he was jacking homers everywhere.
That's what I mean.
I mean, he was hitting 230 when he was doing
right,
it,
yeah, right.
which would have fit him perfectly into the modern game.
Right. Or like as an old school power hitter, someone like Harmon Killebrew, or like,
Yeah.
one of those guys who hit about 250 for their careers, but when they touched one, it was going a long way.
Yeah. But the only thing the steroids really did for McGuire was cut down on recovery time.
Right.
They didn't make him a better hitter
And the other thing I think too,
because he was injured a lot as well.
yeah, he was. Why I would put McGuire in and not Sosa. One of the things I always consider with Hall of Fame is how are you compared to your primary position? And because outfield is like the home of all the greatest offensive legends, there's
Yeah.
a lot less first baseman. When you start going down the list of first basemen of all time, there's not that many names before you're going to mention McGuire.
Right.
There's just not.
Right.
I mean, you could say what? Pujols, Lou Gehrig. You might say some might say Keith Hernandez. I wouldn't. It's not a terribly long list.
True.
Whereas outfield, there's probably 30 guys I'll name easily before I ever think of Sammy Sosa.
Right.
You know?
Right. But your original four was probably the best.
Those
list.
are the four that are just inexcusable. Completely
And-
inexcusable.
And like I said, that's one of the reasons I haven't been there.
Yeah.
And it's the closest Hall of Fame. Well,
Right.
Second closest. Hockey's in Toronto.
I can't believe that anyone ever was able to get to that place and get home again safely before GPS. That is the most confusing place I've ever driven to in my life. Cooperstown.
I've done it well before GPS.
It's amazing. It's like,
It took a while.
where are you? By the trees? Which ones? The ones by the farm? Which ones? So the ones with the cows? Which ones? Like, it's just crazy. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, I know. And good luck finding a hotel or finding parking.
Yeah, the parking was hard. That's why, like, you sleep in your car. The hell with it. Just give a flat bed and blanket and pillow and call it a day.
Okay, so that's another reason I'm not going back.
There we go. All right. Well, there's the top 5. That was a good one. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll do our NFL picks next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? you call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, it's time for our NFL picks here on the Gary Ayd Show. What do we got today, Rich?
Okay, we'll start with the 1 o'clock game
Let's
Sunday.
do
We
it, baby.
We both start the week 1-0, which is nice. Bears at Falcons. I have gone back and forth on this. And for the reason I just don't like picking either of these teams.
Yeah, I've been burned a couple of times by the Falcons this year. I really have, because I've picked them in a lot of, because of their division, they play a bunch of games that you kind of feel obligated to pick them, because it's like hard to pick. It's just as hard to pick the Panthers as it is to pick the Falcons, for example.
Right, right. Yeah, we've both been there this year.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go with the Bears here, Rich. The one thing about them is I really do like the way Justin Fields is playing.
I do too.
And I think for me, that has a lot to do with my pick here. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Bears.
I'll give you a slightly easier one. I also had chosen the Bears. Eagles at Colts. Saturday ain't doing it this Sunday.
Eagles at Colts.
I don't care where they play.
I'm gonna go with the Colts. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say that's ballsy.
No, I'll go with the Eagles. I just had to throw some drama in an otherwise dramaless game there. That's definitely going the Eagles. Come on now.
Yeah, it is a dramaless game. A good test for the Jets. Jets at Patriots.
That is a good test. I think I'm gonna go with the Patriots here. And my reasoning is I think Bill Belichick is so good at disguising coverages, confusing quarterbacks. I just think he's gonna overwhelm. I think he's just gonna overwhelm Zach Wilson. So I'm gonna go with the Patriots here.
Actually, the same reason I picked them. One of two reasons. One, they're at home. And two, I've watched Belichick through years do this to young quarterbacks.
Forever, right. That's what he does.
Washington at Houston.
You know, I've been picking against the commies all year.
You have, so have I.
I can't pick against them here. I'm going to go with the commies. Is Heineke playing?
Yeah, he's the starter.
Okay, good. Then, yeah, I'm going with the commies.
Only for this week, though. He hasn't determined anything else.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. That's right. Yeah, go commies, go.
Yeah, they're going to take it, I think, too.
There we go.
Rams at Saints.
Oh, boy.
Neither team gives me any reason to choose them.
This is another team that I just don't believe in. Not that I believe in the Rams anymore either, but I'm going to go ahead and pick them again because I really don't believe in the Saints. Plus, I'm getting positive money if I want to bet this game on the Rams, plus 145. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Rams to beat the Saints. I don't love it. I don't like either team. I don't feel great about it, but I have to make a pick, so I'm going to go with the Rams.
What's the word on Stafford?
That's the question. I don't know. That's a good question.
I haven't seen anything saying whether he was going to play or not. I'm assuming he is because I haven't heard any different, and I too chose the Rams for that reason.
Yeah, but yeah, it's
Stafford doesn't play well. I take the L.
don't feel good about it either way. That's for sure.
No.
All right, what else?
Browns at Bills at Detroit.
You know, Gambling Jim gave us his lock of the week this week.
He did.
Initially, it was Cleveland, but now that it got moved to a neutral site, he changed it. So at one point, he was on this game. I can't see the Bills losing to the Browns. I just can't see it. I'm going with Buffalo here. There's no way they're losing to the Browns.
I did too. Although them leaving Saturday is kind of a weird thing, but they've already got a ton of snow out there. So what's the difference? And that's funny because we got less than a foot of snow where I am. I'm just north of the city.
Right.
South of the city, there's 2 to 3 feet. And before game time, right around the Orchard Park area, is expecting up to 50 inches of snow.
50 inches? What is that?
Yeah,
5
over
feet
4
almost?
feet.
4.5 feet?
Just
Oh
over
my
4
God.
feet.
That's insane.
That's it's their damn fault. I can't get to Erie Saturday. We're fine here. We got like 5 inches of snow last night.
Right.
Now we're expected to get more, but it's going to be less than a foot by the time it's all done. And of course, they got about the same we got in Erie.
Right.
It's the in-between part that's going to kill me.
It's funny.
Panthers at Ravens. Yeah, I thought about this for about 2 seconds.
And you went with the Panthers, right?
Oh, yeah. There's a chance Mayfield may play. No, there's not. Okay.
And who cares if he does? Yeah, Ravens all the way. Yep.
The suddenly hot Detroit Lions in the Meadowlands to take on the Giants.
A winning streak. Jack George, you have a winning streak.
2-game winning streak.
Jack George, you had a winning streak. Hometown Giants.
As much as I would love to see the Lions win another game because I love their coach.
Yeah, I do too,
But
actually.
they're not beating this team.
No way. Giants win this game. I'm going to go ahead and say 24-10.
I think the Lions are going to score points. I just think the Giants are going to score more.
Okay.
I said 27-20.
Okay. There you go.
Let's go to the 4:00 game. Raiders at Broncos.
Oh, boy.
Did you see the latest? I was going to save this for news you can use, but did you see the latest Russell Wilson story?
No.
I mean, there's stories about him that get weird and weirder. This is odd. Apparently, a former teammate is saying that Bronco players are telling him that when they're in and out of the huddles, he's still calling Seahawks audibles, and it's confusing them.
What? That's
True story.
That's not good.
That's weird.
Oh, man. Yeah, so Broncos and Raiders. See,
It's at Denver, but has Wilson done anything to make me think they're going to take this game at home? But then again, the Raiders haven't done anything to make me think they're going to take the game on the road.
see, the problem I have with picking this game is like Denver's defense is really, really good.
It is.
And the Raiders can't get out of their own way. But the problem is Denver's offense is horrendous.
Yes, worst in the league. One of the worst.
They're awful. I'm going to go with the Raiders. Just because I like them better. I like their players better. I think they're better people. Like, I'm just going to go with the Raiders just because I have no conviction in this call whatsoever, but I'm going to go with the Raiders.
I did too, but I originally had Broncos and crossed it out.
There you go.
I still do this by hand, so don't. It's very low tech, but it works.
I'm even more low tech. I'm on a tablet. No, but wait, it's
No, that's high tech.
that's a new type of tablet. It's not Moses's tablet. It's like an
I'm
electronic tablet.
doing this by hand.
Yes, it's not a tablet and chisel. No, it's an iPad tablet. Never mind.
Yeah. Cowboys at Vikings.
This is a good game. Probably the best game
It
of the
is.
week.
There's a few good games coming up the rest of this day.
You know, I'm going to go ahead and call I'm surprised at this. Minnesota is actually an underdog at home.
At home?
They are. They're a 1.5 point underdog.
I know the Cowboys are coming off a loss, and they usually play better when they come off a loss.
Yeah. I also think the Vikings spent a lot of energy in their last couple of games. I'm going to say the Cowboys. I was going to say I'm going to call the upset and pick the Cowboys, but technically that would be not an upset, which is upsetting to me. But I'm going to go with the Cowboys, though.
Still not sold on the Cowboys on the road. I'm taking the Vikings.
Here we go. We got our first difference.
The last 4 o'clock game, Bengals at Steelers.
Ugh.
Yeah. Interesting game.
These two teams do always tend to play each other very physical.
Yes.
So it will probably be a competitive, fun game to watch. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Bengals here. I think their offense has been better. I don't think this, although the Steelers, I believe, are getting Watt back this week, which should help.
Wasn't he back last week in a limited?
He was back, yeah, but I mean, like, he'll be fully back this week. Yeah.
Okay.
He came back.
Interesting.
Like, played like certain downs last week. Yeah. But I'm gonna, you know what? I am gonna go with Pittsburgh with Watt coming back. I think Watt makes his return party in a formal way. I'm gonna change my pick. I'm going with the Steelers.
I did too, but I just can't stand their offense.
Oh, their offense is like watching paint dry.
But then again, I can't stand the Bengals defense.
There you go.
The night game Sunday, Chiefs at Chargers.
Ooh, this is a good one.
This is going to be a good game.
If you want points, here's where you find them. This is where
Here's where the over might look good. What
Yes.
is the over on this, by the way?
52.
I think either team could do enough. So that if it's a 27-26 game, you win.
Right. Yeah,
And I think one of these teams, if not both, will score more than that.
I think so too. Yeah, I think betting the over is probably smart in this one. You know what? I'm going to go ahead here and call an upset. I'm going to call the Chargers at home. They're 5-point dogs. You get plus 210 on the money line. And you know what? I just think they're due a signature win on the season. And I think the Chiefs are due for a letdown somewhere along the way. I'm going to say the Chargers pull one out here.
I took the Chiefs. They're the best team in football
They
for
are.
my eyes.
Yep, I agree.
And I think their letdown happens like it does every year in the first 4 weeks of the season. They've been unbeatable since. They will have less of a tendency to beat themselves than the Chargers will. I took the Chiefs.
All right, there you go.
The Monday night game. I thought about this one for maybe 4 seconds.
Oh.
49ers at Cardinals. You know who I have, and I think I know who you
Oh,
have.
yeah, it's the Niners. I mean, look, the Niners
Yeah.
to me are a championship contending team. The Cardinals are not. Cardinals are home. That's all well and good. But yeah, the Niners are they're just flat out better. Give me the Niners in this one.
I will say this. The Cardinals have a better chance of giving them a game if Colt McCoy plays. But they're not going to win either way.
Nope.
And now, a bonus pick.
Ooh.
This will not count in the standings,
Bonus.
but it's a bonus pick. The Grey Cup happens Sunday. The Toronto Argonauts versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Who do you have?
Warren Moon.
Not there anymore.
Oh, Joe Theismann. Steve Young?
Not there anymore.
Oh, man.
Give me team. Give me a team.
I don't
Pick one.
know. I'm not gonna watch that.
Who does
mess.
know?
I'm not
Who
gonna.
does know?
I didn't even know that was still a thing.
Oh, it's still a thing.
Okay.
Toronto or Winnipeg? Who do you get?
At least I know where Toronto is. I'll take Toronto.
Okay, I'll go against you and take Winnipeg for bragging rights.
Oh man.
Well, just remember, real men only need 3 downs.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know that was still a thing. I really didn't.
No, it is, and it's they're playing it up pretty big up there.
There you go. Okay.
Okay. Do we have time for something before we break?
Yeah, what do we got?
The game between Buffalo and Cleveland will be the 5th game this century to be relocated due to weather. Going to give you the other 4.
Okay.
See if you remember anything about any one of them. 2014, the Bills got relocated to Detroit because of a snowstorm. They rode snowmobiles to the airport and beat the Jets 38-3. 2010, it's true.
And what game was this?
The Bills Jets.
When?
2014.
They rode snowmobiles. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, no one was on the road.
That's so funny.
2010, the Metrodome roof collapses under the weight of snow, forcing the Vikings to host the Giants in Detroit. Who won it? Who
Giants.
do you think won?
Giants.
Yep, 21-3.
Again, I just pick against the Lions without any knowledge of anything else.
It wasn't the Lions, it was the Vikings.
Oh, it was in Detroit, but they were neutral site, of course.
Because the
Right,
Metrodome
of course.
roof caved in. I
Okay.
remember that. The Saints had to play their home opener at Giants Stadium in 2005 following Hurricane Katrina. Who won that game?
The Saints.
Giants, 27-10.
So if the Giants could play at
2003
neutral sites, they'd be unbeatable. It
I
sounds
know.
like.
2003 was the first one of this century. The Giants and Dolphins had to play at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe
Oh man.
because of an earthquake. Who do you think won it? Chargers, Dolphins.
What year was it? 20.
03.
I'm going to say the Chargers. They were elite at that point.
Miami won it, 26-10.
Wow. Okay. I guess that was a couple years before the Chargers really got good.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking like 2005, 6, 7, a few years later. Yeah.
Yeah. When Rivers established himself.
Was that like Jay Feedley was the quarterback of Miami back then? Jay Fielder, whatever his name was.
Oh my God. I have no idea.
I think
but
it might have been.
I vaguely remember that name.
I remember Zach Thomas, the middle linebacker, was a beast. That was probably Ricky Williams was the running back at that point.
It might have been.
Yeah, it was. That was it. Ricky Williams. Ricky B.
So
and
a
Ricky.
little interesting factoid to lead off on our picks.
What do we got?
We'll see who the one I just gave.
Oh.
Stay with me here. I'm trying.
No, when you said an interesting factoid, I thought you were going with another one. Because you just throw these things out there. Sometimes I catch them, sometimes I don't. It's like when someone hits like fungos, but like 5 at a time. It's like I catch one, the other one goes over there. It's like just shoot around basketball practice. There's balls flying everywhere, and you got to catch some, you miss some. I used to hate shoot around. I always get hit in the head or something. Like it was like, man, there's too many balls flying around.
That's a problem.
That's good stuff. I like that. I mean, it's funny that the Giants have been involved in so many of these games.
In 2 of those 5 games.
Yeah.
This is the second one for Buffalo.
I mean, it makes sense that the Bills this would happen to them a little bit more than others because of where they're physically located.
Right.
I mean,
the chances of getting 5 feet of snow aren't as good in East Rutherford.
No, we get our share of snow, but nothing like that.
Yeah.
But we get our share of snow. I know what 2 feet of snow looks like. I've even seen 2.5 feet. I think that's probably about the largest storm I've ever seen in this part of the state. It's somewhere between 2.5 and 3 feet in a single storm. That's probably the biggest I've seen in this part of the state. which is still, that's enough.
Yeah.
It's plenty. What snow looks like after that. All right, let's take a break. We got news you can use, and we have to look at some NBA games as well. So we'll do both when we get back. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, we are back. Gary Ayd Show. Let's get into let's do the NBA real quick because and we'll do abbreviated news you can use because there's a lot of NBA games tonight.
Yes, there are. And for my first news you can use story, I sent you something in your email.
Ooh, okay.
So check it because the story won't mean anything if you don't see it.
I understand. All right.
Okay, NBA tonight. Yeah, there's over 10. There's 11 games.
That's a lot of games.
A few pretty interesting ones. Milwaukee at Philadelphia.
That is a good game.
Can the Sixers get good against the Bucks?
I don't know. I mean, but I will tell you this. It might not be a more enjoyable one-on-one matchup in the NBA right now than Joel Embiid versus Giannis. Those are two
Very
athletic
true.
monsters, and they do guard each other a lot.
That's true. That's very true.
So that is just for that matchup alone, I'm watching this game. I mean, that's a great matchup. I don't think Philly beats Milwaukee, though, even though it is at home. This game's on ESPN, by the way. It's not national television.
Yes, it is.
Yep. So
the other ESPN game is interesting, too. Knicks at Warriors.
Isn't it? I don't know what's more interesting, the game or the fact that it is interesting. Because, like, you would think this would be like a bloodbath, but the Warriors are just not in a good way right now.
Right.
Hey,
that's why.
There's
a couple others I'm looking at, too. Denver at Dallas.
That's a great
Phoenix
game.
at Utah, which I never thought I'd be looking at. And Boston and New Orleans.
I got a game I'm interested in.
Sorry to squish all these in. I know we're getting...
I think Oklahoma City and Memphis is interesting purely from the guard battle. I mean, the battle of Morant and SGA. I mean, SGA is... If the Thunder were more sexy or better, he would be in the MVP conversation right now. That's how good he's playing.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's playing incredibly well.
Oh, he's a monster. Yeah. One more game for me of some interest is Orlando and Chicago, only again because I like watching Bonchero play.
See, I think we've got so much to choose from tonight. I didn't even have that on my radar.
Yeah, I'm always interested in watching him play. All right, so there we have it. So what do we got for news you can use? You said you sent me an email.
I did. Look at that. That is a picture of the snowstorm radar in Buffalo. Tell me that doesn't look similar to the Bills logo. If you want to post that on the page, go ahead.
Oh, I will.
Oh my God.
That is funny. Oh man, that is hilarious. Yikes. Oh, that's funny.
That just made my day.
Good stuff.
Yeah, if you could share that so everyone can see it, they'll know what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
yes.
Or just think I'm crazy, which happens.
Hey, it happens.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are debating on whether to re-sign Kevin Love. I mean, I remember 2 years ago they couldn't wait to unload him.
Yep, not anymore.
But they're considering giving him an extension. Now he's a crucial part of the team. What is your take on that?
Good for him. Kevin Love is a pro's pro. He really should have played his entire career on winning teams. Everything he does on a basketball court is conducive to winning. And he's just had the immense misfortune to play his whole career for what are historically two of the least productive teams in NBA history, with Minnesota and Cleveland. Of course, there were the couple of LeBron years sprinkled in there. But I'm just happy for him because this man is a pro's pro and is an excellent basketball player.
He absolutely is. Absolutely is.
I remember years ago always telling people that Kevin Love was a much better player than Blake Griffin. And oh boy, I got all kinds of funny looks for that one. But
I think that's one of, as long as we've known each other, one of the first things that we immediately connected on, because we both agreed so strongly.
And you're a Clippers fan, which made that even funnier.
Yes. And the cool thing is we can disagree.
Yes. We did that earlier today, rather strongly.
Yes, and that's fine. Why? Because we're adults.
Yes. See this white hair? It means I'm old enough to be an adult.
And we're not like the petulant children in social that can't agree with each other on anything.
Yeah. We don't need a wambulance here.
Disagreements are fine.
That's right. They are healthy. All right. What else we got?
Oh, Qatar officials abruptly ban beer sales at stadiums just days before the World Cup begins.
What could go wrong?
Isn't Budweiser a major sponsor of the World Cup?
They are. And I also think, like, if I'm going to watch soccer, I better be able to drink.
Now, listen to this. It's expected that wine, champagne, and other alcohol will be served in the luxury hospitality area of each stadium.
But no beer for us common folk.
What?
This is why you don't go to Qatar. I don't even know where Qatar is.
The former head of FIFA, Sepp Blatter, I mean, who was disgraced when he was there, said to a couple, like I think about 15 days ago, that awarding Qatar the World Cup was a mistake.
You don't say.
That's one thing he actually may have been right on.
Like, you don't say. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, we should put these things in real countries.
Yes.
Like, I mean, even though it's not the nicest place in the world, I understand why you would put a World Cup in, like, Beijing, right? Like, it's a major city. It's a real country. Like, where is Qatar?
And they're not extremists to the point where you would
Right.
Yeah, but they're thinking they might allow it in hospitality areas after 7 p.m. local time, but they're pushing for a complete beer ban. And I wonder what Budweiser has to say about this, and why haven't they said anything?
Yeah, that is
And why
surprising.
would you have sponsored it in the first place?
Well, I wonder if that sponsorship was part of a multi-World Cup pact that was struck many years ago, that was struck prior to any of this being known. Because a lot of these major sponsorships of these huge events are like long-term contracts, like 20-year contracts, So like this very well could have been signed in like 2007. You know what I mean? Like that's very possible.
True. And that we don't know.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very good point. Now, the biggest concern out of this, I mean, there's many concerns with Qatar, but they agreed to the deal to allow beer sales within the stadiums, then just changed it at the last minute. The country's laws, as well as like so many human rights issues and the treatment of workers constructing these 8 stadiums. None of them were there. It's been a major issue since they were awarded this thing. There is nothing wrong with turning around and saying, hey, we were wrong.
Right.
We're quickly moving this.
Right. They should have. I agree.
Yes.
I totally agree. Oh, well, they didn't.
I don't like extremists. They do things that are just extreme. Yeah, pretty much.
Here we go. All right, what else we got besides the World Cup?
Man, talk about gearing up for a title run. The Eagles agree to a 1-year deal with Ndamukong Suh.
Good pickup. I was surprised he wasn't in the league all so far this year. I mean, last year, from an interior line position, he had 7 sacks.
Yeah.
That's very productive. Like
he's 35, but he's
still very, very good. He's still very good. And talking about him for a second, I'm not so sure he's not worthy of discussion for the Hall of Fame. I mean, this guy's been a really good pro, an excellent, great player for a very long time at a brutal position. That's the thing. It's kind of like defensive tackle is sort of like the catcher of football, where like you grade those positions on a bit of a curve in terms of their numbers, because basically the defensive tackle's job for the most part is to eat space and allow the edge rushers and the outside linebackers and sometimes a blitzing safety to have a gap to get through. So a guy that gets sacks from that position, he is exceptional almost always. Like, it's what made Warren Sapp different. I'm not saying Suh is as good as Sapp was, but, I think he's the best defensive tackle we've had in the NFL since Warren Sapp, and on a consistent basis.
I agree.
So,
and yeah, those sacks from that position. The one thing that might be an issue is the fact that he has been involved in a large number, even for his position, of dirty plays.
Yeah,
that might be a Hall of Fame issue, but
yeah.
It's definitely worth consideration.
The old morality clause. I love it.
Do I have time for 2 more quick ones?
Let's do it quickly.
Israel Adesanya, might not know him. He's a UFC fighter. Had a tough weekend. He lost his UFC middleweight belt, but it got worse on the way home. He was arrested at JFK Airport for possession of brass knuckles.
Hey. Was he gonna
the opposite of winning.
No, that's not good.
And one more quick one. Former NBA player Dante Green charged with attempted robbery after police say he tried to rob a gas station clerk in Goshen, Indiana.
I saw this. Like, this happened like 2 days ago. Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what comes from it. That's a case where if it really did happen, they probably should and do have film on that, I would imagine, since it happened at a gas station. So that should be an open and shut case if it in fact was him and did happen, as he's being accused of. So that should be easy to prove. I will say one other thing about that too. I thought it was interesting that of all the towns it could have been, it's Goshen, which is my hometown in New York. So
different Goshen.
Goshen. I've known about Goshen, Indiana for a lot of years. But it's pretty funny that that's where this happened. Well, there you have it. Good shows this week.
This has been a lot of fun.
It's been great. Little programming note as we head out here today. No show Thursday and Friday next week, so a short week next week. Of course, Thursday's Thanksgiving, Friday the day after. Just a long weekend for Rich and I. So we'll be back Monday, and then we will be back on the ensuing week to a normal schedule. So there we have it. And by the way,
great.
One last
Enjoy your
thing.
weekend.
You too. One last thing. Good job by our Facebook community. In the last month, we have grown by over 100 followers. We are over 400. We're at 415 followers right now.
Wow.
So pretty cool stuff. Thank you, everyone. And we will be back on Monday. Enjoy the games. Rick Tittle's next on the Cave. Download the app. It's in the scrolling window right below here. Cave Talk Radio. You can listen to all our other great shows, including Rick Tittle, which is on now. And, of course, Scott Farrell, who follows. It's the Gary Ayd Show. See you Monday here on the Cave.